In this demo, we're going to go over Module 3, Project 1B or Project 2. I've already downloaded the Excel file, the starting file, and I've downloaded the instructions as well. So if we look at our starting file, you should have your name there, and remember to change the 1, change that to a 2. So to get started now, some of the things that we're going to do in this demo is look at trend lines or spark lines. We're going to use if statements. We're going to change and rotate some cell contents, and we are also going to use the goal seek to determine some goals here. So I'll start off with step number 1. Roz is the sales associate for an electronics store called Speakerbox Electronics. She's conducting a detailed analysis of her sales for the first half of 2018, including graphical representation. Go to the sales worksheet, so we're there now, and remove the panes from the worksheet. So you can see right now there's a bunch of stuff going on here, and it's a little bit confusing. There is a good reason for using panes, but the way it's set up right now really isn't working. So to remove the panes in this case, we can just go to View, and then click on the split, and that will bring us back to one sheet. So we can cross that one off. Step number 2, we're going to freeze row 1 and 2. So the reason you would want to freeze a row is to keep it in the same spot when you scroll down the page. So right now when we scroll down, notice that we lose the top. It just goes out of view. What they're asking us to do in step 2 here is to freeze the top 2 rows, so they will always stay still, but the other rows will scroll. To freeze the rows, there's a few different ways you can do it. You can click on freeze panes. If you just wanted to freeze the top row, you could do that. But in this case, we want to freeze the top 2 rows. And to do that, I'm going to click on A3, so the 3rd row, or the first row that you don't want frozen. We want 1 and 2 to be frozen. So I'll click on A3, and then from the freeze panes, I'm going to click freeze panes. And now when I scroll, notice that row 1 and 2 remain frozen or remain there. So now we can cross this one off. Step 3, change the width of column A to exactly 35. A few different ways we can change A. I can drag it this way, and then you can see the width changing. But because they're asking for a specific number, we can click on that column, and then from the home menu, click on format, column width, and we'll type in exactly 35. So we can cross that off. Now step number 4, select the range B5 to D5, B5 to D5, and using the fill handle, fill E5 to G5 with consecutive months. One good thing about Excel is it recognizes a lot of patterns, including months. So January, February, March, we don't have to type the rest of this in. We can just use the fill handle to drag this over, and it'll recognize that we're trying to do consecutive months here and add April, May, June. So I didn't even have to type April, May, June. And cross off number 4. Number 5, in H6, create a spark line based on the data from B6 to G6, and then copy that all the way down. So a spark line or a trend line, we can put a mini chart inside a cell. So to do that, we're going to click on that cell, and then from the insert area, we can just click on line for a spark line. The location range has already been chosen for us. That's the cell that we want it to show up in. But the data range we have to select. So we have to tell it that we want to look at these 6 months. And then I'll click OK. And you can see that it gives us a little graphical representation. So things are pretty consistent, and then there's a dip, and then things come back up. And if we just do a quick review here, 28, 29, 31, 29, then the dip is 17, then up to 34. So that is correctly showing us the trend in the data here. Now we're just going to copy this all the way down to get the other months. So we can do that and cross off number 5. Now number 6, use the format painter to copy the formatting from G6 to G10 onto the range H6 to H10. So G6 to G10 has specific background colors. If we wanted, well, what we want to do here is we want to use the format painter to put the same visual on these cells here. We could manually do everything, but to save a little bit of time, we can use the format painter, which takes whatever format is on the selected cells, the highlighted cells, and then when we click and drag, we're going to apply it to these cells, and you can see the background color change. We could do that individually, but this just saves a lot of time. So now we can cross off number 6. Moving to step number 7, copy the contents of B5 to G5 to the range B12 to G12. So B5 to G5, we're going to copy these months. So I'm just going to use Control and C on the keyboard, or you can right click and copy. And I'm going to paste that B12 to G12, B12 to G12. Control V on the keyboard to copy and paste that over. Next is number 8. Apply the percentage number format with 0 decimal places to the range B13 to G13. Go up to the number area and I'll click percentage, and 0 decimal places, we're good there. It also asks for the non-adjacent cell B33. So I can click on B33 and use the percentage as well. I could have also highlighted all of this. Let go of my mouse, hold down the Control key. Oops. Highlight this. Let go of my mouse, hold down the Control key, and now I've selected all of those cells plus this non-adjacent cell, and then that would save me a little bit of time because I would only have to press the percentage style once. But doing it separately works as well. So moving on to number 9, select the merged range A15 to A27, so that's this large box here, and rotate the cell content to 0 degrees. So you can see right now the angle of the text is rotated. We're going to move this to a different number. So we can go up to, where is it here? There we go. In the alignment panel, click on the orientation and then format cell alignment. And now we can move this, either click and drag, or we can just click on the 0 right here and click OK. And now that'll rotate the content. Moving on to number 10, in the stacked column chart, which is right here, with the title monthly sales per item, that's the right one, add month as the primary horizontal axis and sales amount as the primary vertical axis title. There's a few different ways that you can add titles. Probably the easiest way is if you hover over the chart elements. If you add axis titles, you can add one or the other. We're actually going to add both, and then we're going to rename these. Horizontal axis is, where are we here? Month, and the vertical axis sales amount. So we can cross that one off. Next, in the stacked column chart, so the same one, change the number format of the vertical axis to accounting with 0 decimal places. So right now, this is not showing the $, and it has decimal places, so we want to change those pieces there. We can click on the, actually if we double click this, and we have this menu opening up for us. Number is what we want to get to. So axis options and then number. From here, we can select the accounting format and change this to 0 decimal places. Oops. Make sure that we have everything here, and we are good to go. So now we have the $, and no decimal places. We just close this, and then we can cross off number 11. Number 12 in the 3D pie chart, so that's this one here. Change the chart style to style 7. So just by clicking it and then hovering over the styles up here, style 7 is the one that they want, so it matches the one beside it. And then we can cross that one off. Next, add data labels to the 3D pie chart using the outside end style. So another easy way to do that is just by double clicking on the graph itself and then adding chart elements. And if you hover over data labels and then click the little arrow to expand, and it's asking us for outside end. And then you can just click anywhere else to accept those changes. You can cross off number 13. So next we're going to work on the if statement. It's important to just take a quick look at how the if statement actually works. So in this cell, I'm just going to cover it for 1 second. If I start typing equals, then if, just to bring up the structure of the if statement here. So we have if, a logical test, value of true, value of false. So the way this is set up, we're saying that if, then we do some kind of a test. In this case, we're looking at how much money was sold and whether or not this person gets a bonus or a commission. So if that logical test can either be true or false, so if the amount is greater than, then do this. If it's not, then do that. So by the logical test, we just mean a true or false answer. And then in this bracket, the square brackets, if that is true, put this value in that cell. If that logical test is false, put this value, the value of false, in that cell. So if we get an understanding of what they're asking first here, Roz wants to calculate her sales commissions. The rule in this case is that she'll get a 2.7% commission on total sales, and she'll receive 3.5% if the sales exceed $80,000 in a given month. So if the sales are greater than $80,000, she'll get 3.5%. If they're not, 2.7%. So here we're going to say, is the value greater than 80,000? Yes or no, so that's a true or false. And the value of true will be 3.5% times that value. The value of false, 2.7% times that value. So in cell B31, we're going to say equals if, and we'll double click that if to start the formula. So if B10, because that's the total sales in January. So if B10 is greater than 80,000, so the greater than sign, then 80,000, and then I'll add a comma. So you can see that as soon as I add the comma, the second part of this function is bolded. This little hint down here. We've written the logical test here. This is a true or false statement. Is B10 greater than $80,000? That's either a yes or no, true or false. Then the value of true, we're going to do some math. Value of false, we're going to do some math as well. So if it's true, so if B10 is greater than 80,000, we should multiply B10 by 3.5%. So if it's true, we're going to say B10 times 0.035, because that's 3.5%. Then I'll press comma again to move to the third part of this statement. So when I press comma on the keyboard, notice that this third part of the hint is now bold. So now I'm working within the value if false area. And if it's false, multiply B10 by 2.7%. So B10 times 0.027. Now if I press enter, we have a number down here. So in this case, B10 was greater than 80,000, so it's multiplying this cell, 88,990, times 3.5%. And it totally ignores this third part of the statement. Next, copy the formula in B31 all the way to G31. So I can just click this and drag it over to G31, and now we have the formula repeated all the way through. So you can see in this case, because F10 is less than 80,000, the result is F10 times 2.7% rather than times 3.5%. And then we're done with number 14. Moving on to step 15, we're going to look at absolute cell references now. So remember before when we have copied a cell or copied the formula of a cell over, anytime we reference a cell and copy it over, Excel will do its best to figure out what cell it should update in that formula. So when we wrote this if statement, we wrote it in B31. So we used column B, but then when we copied and pasted everything over, every column, Excel will automatically update the column to change it to whatever column the result is going to be in. But we don't always want that to happen, so we can use absolute references to control that. Now the net amount of Roz's commissions after all deductions is 85%, shown in cell B33. B33. So they're saying here that after taxes or deductions, whatever else, Roz gets to keep 85% of the amount of her commissions. So we're going to use cell references here, absolute references, to make sure that that continues over. So for the net amount, that's just the amount times the commission percentage. So we're going to say here, I'm going to do it incorrectly the first way, and then I'll show you how to fix it. So normally we would just say this cell, we want the result of this times this. We press enter, and sure enough, the net amount, when we calculate this out, this is 85% of the total amount here. What we're used to so far is just copying and pasting across, but if I copy and paste across, I'm going to get an error to 0. And the reason for that is because we haven't used an absolute reference yet. Right now, we're just saying take this cell, well, take B31 and multiply it by B33. When we drag this over, Excel is saying now take C31 and multiply it by C33, but there is no C33. So I'm going to press undo a couple of times, and now we'll do this correctly. So I'll say equals this, so B31 times B33, but we need to add an absolute reference, and to do that I can press F4, or you can just add a $sign in front of the B and a $sign in front of the 33. Either way that works, but pressing F4 is the shortcut for that. So now if I press enter and I drag this formula over, the first part of the formula changes. So now I'm still multiplying it by F31 in this case, but I'm staying with B33 down here. And that finishes off 15 for us. Now 16, in H31 to H32, we want to update the column spark lines. So we don't want them to be columns anymore. We want them to be lines. So you can just highlight them, and then from the insert area, we can just click on lines. Whoops. No, sorry. From design, if you were going to create a new one, you could click on lines. But with these highlighted, we're going to go over to design and then click on line. And we're going to change the style to dark number 4 in the 4th column of the 5th row. 5th row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, column 4. And that solves number 16 for us. Now 17 and A31 and A32, we want to increase the indent. So we just want to move everything over a little bit to the right, and we can use that in the alignment tab. Just click on increase indent, and it slightly moves things over. And that is 17. Next, we're going to look at using the goal seek tool. So in this case, the goal here is to make $30,000 of commission for the entire year. And we're going to look at using goal seek to figure out what Roz would need to do in order to make that $30,000 threshold. So number 18, Roz would like to close 2018 with a net commission totaling $30,000, using the estimate that her gross commission will be an average of 3.1%. So in B39, and use goal seek to determine what value of B36 is necessary to set the value of B39 to $30,000. So here, if we look at, we have the commission for January, February, March, April, May, June, then we want to figure out what the July to December, so the second half of the year, what the sales total would have to be in order to make that threshold. So we're going to use goal seek, select B39, and use goal seek. And notice too that this isn't a static number. Right now there is a formula in B39 that's already being calculated, so we can use goal seek to change the references or change the original cells to see where we need to be. So here, use goal seek on B39 to determine what value of B36 is necessary. So to get to goal seek, we're just going to go to data, then what if analysis, and goal seek. So the set cell, that's B39, we want to hit $30,000 by changing the cell, change the value of B36, and then click OK, and you'll see this update. And now we've added our goal seek. The estimated July to December sales total should be $18,698. So we can cross that one off. And then in cell B40, report date, use the now function to enter the current date. So I can just type equals now, and then double click that, and press enter. And right now we don't actually see a date because it doesn't fit, but if we click on this or highlight or hover over it, it tells us today's date. Next, we're going to change to the short date format. So under home, and then short date, and that solves for 19. And finally, step number 20, use the recommended charts to create a clustered column chart based on A30 to G32. A30 to G32. So we're going to use a clustered column chart to show this range. So I've highlighted this area, A30 to G32. Then I'll click Insert, and then Recommended Charts. Gives you a list of different charts that you can use. This, it asks us to use a clustered column chart, so I'll just click that and click OK. And next we're going to move the chart to its own sheet, so I'll right click, Move Chart to a new sheet, and the name of that will be Sales Commissions. Make sure you spell that properly. And if necessary, reposition the worksheet so that it's located after the sales sheet. To reposition a worksheet, you can just click and drag and move it over that way. Use Sales Commissions 2018 as the chart title. So I'll double click that chart title. And then in the clustered column chart, add month as the primary horizontal and commission as primary vertical. So I can just click the little add chart elements, and I'm going to add both titles. Horizontal is month, and vertical is commission. I'll save this, and we are done.